a way that stimulates and is part of activism. There is no other communication vehicle that does quite what WBAI is and has done for 50 years. So please hold it dear and respect it with all of its warts and problems. It's a dialectic, but it is first and foremost a great, great people's medium of communication. And somewhere along the line, I'll introduce some of my
to make sure that we keep the millions of Americans in their homes. Americans right now are on the verge of losing their homes by having the government take the controlling interest in the mortgage-backed securities and then directing a pay-down of principal and interest and extending terms of payment to keep people in their homes. That ought to be goal number one. And you know what? That would help the banks get their money. Because otherwise the banks get their money and the people don't get to stay in their homes. We need to look at, in this discussion about bailing out people, not the banks, but not making common bond with the insurance companies to have a public-private partnership in healthcare. We already have a public-private partnership in healthcare, and it's resulted in 50 million Americans being without healthcare. Another 50 million Americans being underinsured. Think about that. Those who are calling for a public-private partnership in healthcare, it's kind of like asking for a partnership between the fox and the chicken. The fox, you have the option not to eat the chicken. We need to have a universal, single-payer, not-for-profit healthcare system. H.R. 676, the Congress Kucinich bill, is passed today. I work with Joe Congress and crafted it.
I'm going to tell you how we got into this mess. And my reason for doing it, it's important for people to understand the basic story here is very simple. Then I want to say a little bit about the bank bailout schemes. I'm going to say a little bit about Social Security. And you read a 100-year-long history where house prices had just risen at the same rate as inflation. House prices beginning in the mid-90s began to outpace inflation. That's unusual. Happened to coincide with the stock bubble. Same thing that happened in Japan. Okay, well, their stock bubble, housing bubble collapsed at the same time in 1990. When our stock bubble collapsed in 2000 and 2002, what happened was it actually fed the housing bubble. Two reasons. One was people took a look at stock. They said that wasn't safe, so they said housing, by contrast, you can always live in your home, that's safe. The other reason that was contrast led to a fairly bad recession. We had a very hard time getting out of it. We had very low interest rates. That's an environment that fosters bubbles. Okay, well, it was easy to recognize the bubble. I first began talking about it when house prices had risen by more than 30% after adjusting for inflation. They eventually rose by more than 70% at their peak